So you want a quick and dirty governor guide. I suppose I can do that for you. In return though, if you're a fan of medieval war sim games, maybe subscribe to the channel. Maybe leave a like. Maybe I kill old David there in the corner if you don't. The possibilities are endless. Now, every player will put a different importance on their governors and their role in the game. All I want to do is give you the tools you need to get what you want out of your governors. To help with this, I've created a table of all the governor perks that are available, 3 example builds for you to use as a basis for your own builds, and a table of all the ladies that are available to marry in the game and their starting stats so you can make a wise choice when it comes to your wife. Use the chapters in the description or the timestamps on screen to jump around if you need to, or if just listening to my accent is making you fall asleep or making your ears bleed. Both are perfectly acceptable reactions. Now on screen is the governor perks overall. I have colour coded this to help with planning out what you need. The blue is for settlement security, the green is for militia growth, the pink is for settlement loyalty, and the yellow is for income. And by income I mean perks that either reduce the expenditure or increase income. Let me know if the charts are hard to read and I'll pop them into a community post in future. Throughout my builds you will see that I don't plan into tactics, charm or medicine. This is because levelling these skills for your companions is tough and you really don't get a lot back for your investment. You will notice on the table above that there's a lot of utility to be had out of the skills up to 150, and post that the returns diminish greatly. So the first build I want to take a look at is the Simple Simon build. Now as you can see, I've bordered in red the skills that we're going to take up to the levels that we're going to take them, highlighted the perks in green, and the ones bordered in yellow are situational or not really required, and I'll talk to you more about those when we get there. So first up, in one-handed, we want to take that all the way to 175. That's going to give us +1 on daily militia recruitment. It's going to give us -5% on garrison wages and +30 security provided by troops in the settlement. These are all really strong abilities for a governor. Second up is polearm. We're only going to take that to 50. We only want the +1 militia recruitment. The other skills are really not worth spending the time to get to. Next up, we're going to go into bow. Bow, we want again the +1 militia recruitment, and we also want the +1 loyalty per day. The loyalty is going to help when we take over towns or castles that are from different cultures, because we're going to get that -3 loyalty penalty for being a different culture to the people that live there. This is going to help offset that a little bit. Next up is riding. We're only going to take that to 50. A lot of people will start with that way above 50, but it's the 0.5 daily loyalty that we want. We don't want to take it any further than that. Athletics, we do want to take all the way up to 175. I did think about whether or not to put this one in this build, but as most people start with athletics around 100 to 120, and if you take the horse off the person in the inventory window and force them to fight on foot when you're doing hideouts and open battles, they will quickly get to the point where they are at 175 athletics, and you can take advantage of the +1 loyalty, which is really important. For the roguery, the reason it's in yellow is it isn't essential. It's one of those where if you're going to use a companion that's already got roguery skills and already has the skills there, then by all means use them, build them up in all the other ways to make them a rounded governor. But if the person you've chosen to be your governor doesn't have any roguery skills, the steps to get those roguery skills up is just too much. You can put them in charge of their own party, and whenever they sell prisoners, they'll get a couple of roguery experience points here and there. You can put them in charge of alleyways, but they have to have roguery experience to be put in charge of alleyways, and then also you can send them on missions related to roguery type issues, but again, they've got to have a decent roguery score to be successful in those missions. It's just one of those things where if they have it, use it. If they don't have it, then don't bother trying to train for it. But the -20% prisoner escape chance and the +1 daily security, if it's there, take it. Next up is leadership. 3 experience per day to each troop in the garrison. It's not something that's essential, it's just there, so we're going to take it. What we really want is the +1 loyalty from the governed settlement at 75. So again, at this point, we are now at +3.5 loyalty, which is going to offset the -3 we get for the culture differences and put us 0.5 in front. Remember also, if the culture of the person that you put governing the town is different from the town itself, you will also get an extra -1. So this again helps us in that situation. For the steward perks, we're going to take it up to a minimum of 50, just so we can get the +1 militia recruitment in the settlement. If you are going to be putting this person in charge of a castle, then it's worth going the extra step of getting up to 75, because the -20% garrison wage is really, really good. And that rounds out the Simple Simon build. At this point, you will be at +4 militia per day, +3.5 loyalty per day, and your security will be dependent on whether or not you've got roguery or not. But it's a solid start for a governor to help a town that you've just taken recover, get the loyalty up, get the security up. The security as well, when it gets up to a certain point, does start affecting the loyalty in a positive way. and get your militia up, which is the most important one. So when opposing armies are looking for castles and towns to siege, they will look at what units are in that town and the number of units that are in there. The more militia you have, the more garrison that you have, the less likely they are to pick it as a siege target, especially if your neighbours have got less militia and less garrison. So always keep that in mind. One of the first things you want to do is get that militia number up as high as possible. Of the 12 wives that I'll suggest at the end of this video, 6 of them have all of the starting stats to be able to do this role except for athletics. They all need help in the athletics department. Apart from that, all the other skills are already there. So just keep in mind that you've got some ready-made governors there as well. The next build we'll look at is called the Fixer. The Fixer is somebody that you put into a town that's struggling to get them back on their feet again and also help with the projects that are there. So you'll see from the top down, it'll be pretty much the same as Simple Simon until you get to Scouting. In Scouting, we're going to take 75 points in Scouting just to get the tax income up. When it comes to tax income options, it's always better to take the tax income from the settlement than it is from the tax from the villagers. It's very rare that the villagers will out-earn the town, so it's just best just to get the tax income from the town itself. Next up will be in trade. We've added in the trade option of 30 gold for each caravan visiting the settlement or 20 gold for each villager party. The best way to figure out which one is better for you is to sit outside your town for a few days and see how many caravans versus villager parties come in, and then make your decision from there. But it's a great little passive source of gold that'll just keep coming in for you. In Steward, we're now going to crank that all the way up to 200. And the reason we're going to do that is we're looking for one specific perk, which gives us +1 construction speed per every 3 prisoners. Now this perk is great for a town that hasn't got any of their projects completed yet. You just fill it full of prisoners and then you reap the benefits. If you're also putting 10,000 dinars in to help speed the construction up, that can help too. Next up, we're going to look at engineering. So in engineering, we're going to take that up to 100. The reason we're going to take it up to 100 mainly is because we're going to get the 12% build speed for the town. And we're also going to get the +10% accuracy to siege engines. So when we're defending, we're going to have better accuracy, which gets us better opportunities to take down any battering rams or towers that are coming towards us. And if you've ever been in a castle siege where they've brought 2 towers and a battering ram, as soon as you take out both towers and the battering ram, they retreat. So it's a great way of being able to defend your castles as well. So that is the Fixer build. Obviously, same as Simple Simon, with a whole bunch of extra stuff bolted on. These guys are great for bringing those settlements up, getting their projects completed, and then taking them and putting them somewhere else. The last build I want to look at is called the Holder. And the reason being, this is the person that you put in a town or a castle and you just leave them there. There is a significant increase in the amount of time investment you need to pull off a governor like this, and it's up to you whether or not you think it's worth it. So from the top down, we've increased the polearm skill up to the 200 mark, mainly to get the +1 security, the -20% garrison wages, and the +1 militia recruitment. The bow, we've taken that all the way up to 250, and we're not really interested in the +3 experience. What we are interested in is the +5 to tax gains. If they're going to be there all the time, that +5% will add up over time. We've now introduced some crossbow skills. We've now got -20% wages for ranged troops, or +30% security provided by range, depending on which one you want. And then also the 5% tariff gain again at the 200 point. So again, we've just got 10% plus tax gain, which is a good combination. We've also introduced throw-in now for the +1 daily security at 150 and the +1 militia recruitment at 175. Riding we've taken all the way up to 225. 20% from security from mounted troops. I don't know why anybody would leave mounted troops in their garrison, because even defending the castle, they're not going to have the horses and lose the advantage that they have from them. So you're better off getting rid of them, keeping them in your party, or replacing them with infantry or archers. What we are after in this skill tree is the perk where we get -50% escape chance of prisoners within the settlement. That's a good perk to have. Moving on to athletics, we want to take that all the way up to 225. Again, we want to get that +10% farm, mine, and lumber camp production. If they've got a farm, mine, or lumber camp. If they haven't, then don't worry about that one. We'll also get the -20% food consumption during a siege. It's not really that important, but it can help because it means that they're not going to be able to starve out your garrisons quite as quickly. Scouting is the same, Roguer is the same, leadership is pretty much the same, trade's the same. On to the steward, it's the same. Once you get that +1 construction speed per every 3 prisoners, anything after that's not really worth chasing after. If they are down as a governor, they will generate steward XP anyway and get to the end of the skills eventually, so don't worry about it. And then engineering, we're pretty much the same as well. All we've done is gone a bit further in there to get the granary capacity and +25% wall hit points. Again, that's to prevent our garrison from being starved out and also our walls from being sieged down. And that is your holder. That's somebody that can hold a kingdom, make lots of money out of it, defend it well with high security, high militia, and high loyalty. That's it for the governor builds. The last thing I'll leave you with is a list of, in my opinion, the best 12 wives in the game. Now, obviously, at the start, you're going to be able to get a wife for you and your brother, and as your second brother gets old enough, you'll be able to get a wife for him as well. In the table, I've included the wife's name, her first name rather, their culture, their clan wealth. The reason I've included this is this will dictate what equipment they come across to you with. If they're rich, they'll have really good swords, shields, mounts, armors, everything. If they're down as average or poor, then they tend to have good horses and good horse armor, good chest plates, but then everything else tends to be quite pants. But I'll leave that with you. All the skills are there. Use that to pick which wives you want, and some of them make great governors. Just keep in mind, if your wife is at a castle or a town being a governor, you are not going to be able to get her pregnant, so you will result in not having any kids. So the best thing to do is your first governor should be your brother's wife. That way she can stay behind and govern a town or a castle, and you can leave your brother there with her once she gets pregnant, summon him to your party, and then continue as normal. And I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it's been a bit of a spreadsheet bonanza, but that's the best way I could think of getting all the information to you in a way that was visible and understandable. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.